Welcome in, everybody, to Monday Night Tailgate. I'm your host, Tyler Knaeble, at PPR Tyler on Twitter. We're going to be breaking down biggest takeaways from Week 9, plus have to break down the can't lose player prop picks. That's all coming to you right after this. And we're back. We're going to start it off with Week 9 takeaways. A lot went down in Week 9. I'm a raging Falcons fan, now converted Falcoholic because of Arthur Smith, but we're going to get into that. I'll get into that a little later. Let's start off with Week 9 quick take starting lineup. At quarterback, we have CJ Stroud, just continues to do it most passing yards by a rookie quarterback in NFL history, passing Andrew Luck. 4 touchdowns, Tank Dell, Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, really good game, just wow all around. It's like he did it on the Buccaneers defense. That's not a bad defense by any means. So great for Tampa Bay, or great for CJ Stroud, great for the Texans. You like to see a struggling franchise rise from the ashes, and the Texans have their guy. They have their starting quarterback. Panthers fans down bad. All right, at running back, Gus Edwards won't stop scoring touchdowns, and now we're seeing a little Keaton Mitchell too in that Baltimore backfield. Definitely a waiver guy, someone you should go pick up if you can. Probably might be already off waivers. You might not have any fab left to spend, but he's electric. He's like Devon Achon light. That's pretty much what he is. So the next running back slot, are we about to witness a Rashad White league-winning fantasy run? Great game yesterday against the Texans. That was pretty much a game everyone played great, but great game for Rashad White. He keeps catching passes, which is huge in PPR leagues. So gotta love that. First wide receiver spot. Tank Dell is the best receiver in Houston. He's the number one option in Houston. Such a buy in all formats. Does not matter. Great Tank Dell. We love Tank Dell. I've been a Tank Dell guy ever since the NFL draft. Love Tank Dell. And next second wide receiver spot, Amari Cooper. You got to start Amari Cooper if Deshaun Watson is playing football. If he's the starting quarterback, you have to start Amari Cooper. Great day for Amari Cooper. Probably should have had 2 touchdowns rather than just the one that he had. Tight end, said it last week. I'm going to say it again this week. Taysom Hill is a must start every week until further notice. He's like 32 or 33, and he looks like he's 25. Just he's a touchdown merchant for Alvin Kamara. If you're Alvin Kamara owner or have been an Alvin Kamara owner anytime in the past 4 years, you know what a touchdown merchant Taysom Hill is. And in the flex spot, Arthur Smith officially on the hot seat. Great signs for Bijan, London, and or Pitts fantasy managers. We're going to dive into that a little bit later, but we'll leave that as it is right now. And at the last spot, at our super flex position, at this point in the season, Mahomes is for fantasy. Mahomes is just a guy. I feel like that might be a hot take, but there's a lot of other quarterbacks who are doing a lot more right now in fantasy football. Mahomes, sneaky trade high guy, because he's got a lot of a name value, got a lot of clout behind his trade value. Maybe you can move a Patrick Mahomes. He claims he's going to fix the offense. I'll believe it when I see it. And that brings us to our first takeaway, which comes from the Minnesota-Atlanta game. Do not sell Hockenson, Addison, or Justin Jefferson, because we've been on a real roller. If you've been with us for the entire takeaway videos on YouTube, live streaming, you've known just the roller coaster it's been for these guys. I think it's like the 3rd time I've talked about them. And I came like week 2, I said, you need to go by Addison, Hockenson, especially, probably not Jefferson because his value is too high, but you need to go by Addison, Hockenson. These guys are going to win you fantasy championships. The passing volume's there, talent's there. Go get them. Kirk Cousins goes down. And what did I say last week? If you were around last week, I said, do not sell until we see who they pick up in the line. Next day, they get Josh Dobbs. Now, no one really thought that Josh Dobbs was going to come in and do what he did this week, especially me, but you like to see that, like, Hockenson had a season high in targets with Josh Dobbs, mostly Josh Dobbs at quarterback. He actually, I think it was Jaron Hall who missed him wide open in the end zone too. Like, Hockenson should have had a better day, but Dobbs, he can support these guys to the point where you don't have to sell them. Now, can you maybe fleece some of the managers in your league, sell high and be like, yo, look what Josh Dobbs did? And on all honesty, Joshua Dobbs just kind of had a really good day on the ground. He did have some good passing games, but like I said, Hawkinson had 13 targets. I think he only had like 57 yards. Like it was not that many yards for Hawkinson. So maybe try and say but either way, sell high, play him in your lineup. These guys aren't dead. I think with Jaron Hall, these guys would have been dead. They would have been left for dead, but it's going to be the Josh Dobbs show for the rest of the way. Also, Cam Akers tears his Achilles. You feel for him. He tore it a couple years ago in training camp, or I think it was OTAs actually. Nevertheless, the Vikings, the bottom line is that the Vikings are going to try and get in the playoffs. Like they have a winning record. They feel good about Josh Dobbs. They still have some pieces. They get Jefferson coming back off IR probably this week or next week at the very latest. Seems like he's ready to go. So you can't really move it. Like you have to feel good about where you are currently with the Vikings pass catchers. And I think if there's one guy that's going to be, because also to bring it back, they're not going to run the ball. Madison sucks. Like he's terrible. If you want free money, go bet under rushing and receiving yards on Alexander Madison. I've been doing it every week. I've been making millions of dollars is what I have been making. And it's been a great time. They're going to like basically KOC, Kevin O'Connell. This is a really good head coach. Look what he did with Dobbs. You look at what he did with Cousins. Like he made Cousins the best he's ever looked in his career. He made Dobbs look like a freaking like a top 15 starting quarterback in the league on 4 days notice. He's drawing up plays in the dirt and he's like, hey, pass to this guy. He's going to be open. Like KOC is really that guy. He comes from that McVay offense and he wants to pass the ball. This is a passing team at heart. You look at Kirk Cousins' pass attempts now. Kirk Cousins is a completely different quarterback than Joshua Dobbs, but they want to pass the ball, and that's good for Hawkinson, Addison, and Jefferson. If it's going to be an odd man out, I think it's going to be Addison just because I think his role is a little murky right now. It does help Addison's value that Osborne may be out for the foreseeable future, but we'll see on that. Anyways, I would just it's kind of just go to the tune of your own horn. If you think you can sell higher on these guys, maybe get some dudes like Marquise Brown's the dude I would go and see if he's on a losing roster or see if somebody you can pry him away from someone because we've talked about on this stream before, but when Kyler Murray and Marquise Brown were both playing football last year and Marquise Brown was the wide receiver 1, Marquise Brown was the wide receiver 7 over the first 5 weeks of the season. The other guys were like Chase, Jefferson, Waddle, Hill, like first, second round guys. I think Marquise Brown and Kyler Murray can make some real sweet music together. So like Addison for Marquise Brown plus, I think it's a trade you could get done, and honestly one I would be looking to do while his value's high. It could get even higher, so that's kind of the game you have to play. Do you wait a week, maybe? Because they do play the Saints, so maybe not the best week. So maybe you go right now, offer Addison for Marquise Brown, and maybe get somebody like, I don't know, maybe see if you can get Achon from somebody. Probably not. See if you can get maybe James Conner or Kyron Williams, who's coming back in week 11, according to recent reports, something like that. I think that might be a trade you may be able to get done. So until further notice, it's Joshua Dobbs' season in Minnesota, and it's about to get chilly. Speaking of chilly and speaking of just down bad behavior, Arthur Smith his time is done in Atlanta. It may not be this week, it may not be next week, but his time is done. By the end of the season, there will be a new coach. There will be a new play caller in Atlanta in 2024. There'll be a new head coach. I hope they keep the defensive coordinator, but it's going to be wild times this offseason and it's just crazy because all you see on Twitter, it's like it's how do I like Arthur Smith is doing the exact same thing almost that Dan Campbell and Ben Johnson are doing. But the Lions are winning games, so nobody really cares. And then the Falcons are like the complete opposite of that. They're not winning games, so everybody cares because Bijan, number 8 overall pick, this is a guy 101 in every single rookie draft. He's not paying off the price right now, and that's going to make fantasy managers upset. He hasn't had a good game in like 4 weeks. And you look at the usage, like he was on fire the first 4 or 5 weeks, and then he slowed down, just not getting on. He's their breather back now. He's their breather satellite back guy. And speaking of Bijan, we have a trade. hey man, should I trade Gibbs for Bijan? I would ask what is this, Dynasty or redraft? Dynasty, redraft, PPR. I think that all comes into play. So put that in. I'll answer it. But just staying on the Falcons kind of side of things, I'm buying Bijan, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. Because I truly believe Arthur Smith is gone. There's no way, especially if they lose to the Cardinals this week. I think the Falcons are probably favored, but if they lose to the Cardinals this week, Arthur Smith is for sure gone. He might be fired after next week. It's going to be bad. And here's the thing. Everybody agrees that these guys are good. Bijan Robinson is good. Kyle Pitts, really good. Drake London, really good. Everybody in the fans community knows that these guys are good players. No one's disputing that. The only dispute going on is their usage. And that's something that Pitts, London, Bijan, they don't have any control over that. So we know these guys are good players. And so I know they haven't had weak winning performances, or they're not top 12 guys at their position right now in redraft, but they're going to be. Get Ben Johnson. I know I made the Lions comparison, but I think get Ben Johnson in there. Get Ben Johnson in Atlanta next year, and we might see something special. Get a quarterback in the draft. Go get Penix. That's probably where they'll be around. Go get Penix. Go get Ben Johnson. Let's make some magic together. I got you. I'll check your trade. Here we go. All right. My team is Hurts, JT, Brees, AJ, Cup. Is this Dynasty or is this redraft? Because this is a stacked freaking team. Hurts, JT, Brees, AJ, Cup, Waddle, Laporta. This has to be Dynasty. Stevenson. Should I trade Cup and Stevenson for Garrett Wilson and Bijan? Ooh. Drop it. I'm assuming this is Dynasty because there's no way you could assemble this team in. I guess you could get this team in. No, can you get this team in redraft? Maybe 12. Is it redraft or is it Dynasty? I have to know that first. That's a huge. That's gonna whatever. If this is redraft, trade Cup and Stevenson for Garrett Wilson and Bijan. I would do it. I don't really like Ramondre. I have him on a team. No one's gonna buy Ramondre. So if you can get rid of Ramondre, you had that trade right now, Bijan over Ramondre, as much as Bijan does not look great, Bijan's value is not going to get any worse. It has to go up from here. So I would I think that Bijan is the better side of that. And Kupp and Wilson, man, I don't know. That's tough. Kupp's been terrible the past couple weeks, but Stafford's probably going to play this week. That's tough. I mean, you already have AJ and Waddle. Man, that's tough. And who you're going to get? I would honestly keep it because you already have JT and Brees. You don't need Bijan. And I think I would still start Kupp over Garrett Wilson in redraft. Here we go. I think I would still start Kupp over Garrett Wilson in just regular standing. So I would say do not trade. Keep Kupp and keep Stevenson. See if you can do Stevenson and somebody else for Bijan, though. That might be a good trade. That's something I would do if I could. All right, let's keep it moving. Basically, I'm just going to end out the Atlanta thing. In Dynasty specific, if you are a rebuilding team or you love to live life on the edge, if you can trade an early 2024 first round pick for Bijan, you have to do it. A late 2024 pick, maybe a little more for Kyle Pitts, you have to do it. And a mid 2024 first for Drake London, you have to do it. These guys are the prime of their careers is ahead of them. It's not right now. It's not in the past. It is ahead of them. Kyle Pitts is 23 years old. Drake London is 22. Bijan Robinson is 21. These guys, there are better days ahead. Their value will not be lower than it is this moment today because it can only go up from here. It honestly cannot get any worse than it is right now. Kyle Pitts has a 1,000-yard season as a rookie. Nobody talks about that. Drake London has actually been productive with Arthur Smith somehow. Don't know how that's happened, but he has been productive. So I'm buying all the Bijan, all the Pitts, and all the London that I possibly can. And that brings us to our last takeaway before we dive into the can't lose player prop picks. Hashtag not financial advice, but they can't lose. Takeaway number 3 before we get to that, I was terribly wrong about Jonathan Taylor. Last week I said, coming into this week, it appeared that this Colts backfield was a 50-50 split. The carries were the same. The receptions were the same. The fantasy points were literally the exact same. They were like off by 4 points. And I said, buy Zach Moss because he costs less. He doesn't have the shiny name value. You don't have to get up that much to get him, and sell Jonathan Taylor. Well, this week, Jonathan Taylor, 18 carries, 5 receptions, 69 total yards, and a touchdown. Zach Moss, 7 carries, 0 receptions for 26 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, I was a buffoon for thinking that Jonathan Taylor wasn't going to be the guy. They paid this guy for a reason. And I'm sorry. I apologize because that was terrible. That was terrible. All right, redraft. We're going to go back to it real quick. Redraft Gibbs for Bijan. I wouldn't do it. You can't do it because it's Gibbs. Montgomery is coming back after the bye this week. Montgomery's going to come back. And there was a report that came out today. Dan Campbell came out and said they're going to go back to the Montgomery, all the carries. Gibbs is the satellite back. As electric as Jahmyr Gibbs is, he's nothing more than like a glorified. He's like a poor man's Alvin Kamara. That's pretty much what he is. He's not going to get the carries. He's not going to get the receptions. He's Alvin Kamara light in terms of the opportunities that he's going to see. He's not going to get like the touchdowns. He's not going to get the long plays. He might break a couple long plays here and there, but this is David Montgomery's backfield until he's out of there. And you hate to see it, but the Lions are winning games. Why would they change anything now? So need a huge breakout game tonight. That's funny you say that because you know what? Let's just dive into the picks right now. Dive into the picks. QJ, interesting you say that. Leave that there really, really quick. Hey, just subbed. Thanks, man. Love it. Hey, drop a like on the live stream. I need to feed my family. My family of one needs to be fed. Drop a like on the live stream if you're here supporting the stream. We got a great game tonight. Chargers and Jets. Aaron Rodgers is going out there slinging the ball all over the place with his half-torn Achilles because he got I don't even remember. What's the surgery called? Like tightrope or something like that? That could be just not even close, but it's something like that. I'm not far off. I'm convinced I'm not that far off, but dive into the picks. All of these picks, again, as always, courtesy of Underdog Fantasy. They have a promo going tonight. Justin Herbert, half a total yard. Justin Herbert gets 1 yard passing, rushing, kick return. Doesn't matter. It's a free square. A free square. So let's take advantage of that. So I have 4 picks for you. If you don't like any of there's one that you're like, man, I don't like that pick, just take the Justin Herbert, replace it with the free square. That's what I did. There's one pick that I didn't like specifically. So I like all the picks, obviously. They're all gonna win. But you know what? There's some that are, there's more chance involved with it. But the first pick we got, QJ breakout game. What are the picks so far? We're gonna dive into that right now. First pick we got. Quentin Johnston back to the well, over 32.5 rushing and receiving yards. Maybe he gets a long end around play, kind of open, because his receiving yard total, I think, is 31.5. His rushing and receiving is 32.5. I'll take the extra yard just in case he gets a 20-yard end around. That's free. No Palmer, no Joshua Palmer tonight, no Williams tonight. Everett's back, but that doesn't really do anything for me. Quentin Johnston had 5 catches for 50 yards last week. They got to get this guy involved. They have to get this guy involved. He's their first round pick. They have to force feed him the ball. If he can't, and if you were here for a couple weeks ago, we did this pretty much. It was the exact same bet. Quentin Johnston, I think, had 15 yards, but that's why I said back to the well. He's going to do it this week. He did it last week. 5 catches for 50. That's a decent stat line. We can work with that if you're betting on Quentin Johnston. So it's if Podfather you're watching right now, I'm sorry. I have to do it. It's free. It's free money. It's a free pick. This is a free square as far as I'm concerned. Justin Herbert over half a total yard and Quentin Johnston over 32.5 rushing and receiving yards. Say no more. They're both free squares. Honestly, Quentin Johnston's pick's even freer. Give me Quentin Johnston. Also, I know, and if you're Con 4K, tell him I said it. Clip it and ship it. Clip it and ship it. Send it in his DMs because this pick's gonna hit. This pick's gonna hit, and if it doesn't, I don't know what I'll do. Also, too, before we dive into the next pick, also the Jets have allowed the least points to wide receivers this season, but we're not going to talk about it. I don't care. I don't care. Somebody has to catch the ball other than Keenan Allen and Austin Eckler. Somebody has to have more than 30 yards after those two. And it's going to be Quentin Johnston. I don't care. Also, I know we said if we go 4-0 on the picks that I would chug or I would shotgun a beer live on stream. But then I was thinking about it. Actually at the grocery store today, getting in my car, I was like, I feel like if I go 0-4, I should have to shotgun a beer on stream. So that's what we're going to do. 0-4, we will shotgun. 1-3, we'll just chug it, I think. 2-2, we'll do nothing. 3-1, we'll enjoy a nice cold beer on stream. And 4-0, I'm going to I'm going to go to the bank, get a whole bunch of ones and make it rain on the stream because I'll have all the money to do that. Like I said, I bet I have money on the line too. I don't just give out the picks and just say, okay, like I don't care if they lose. No. Why would I do that? I have money on all these picks that I'm giving out because why would you take advice from somebody who also does not have skin in the game? So I'm just as invested as all of you. Again, Underdog Fantasy. That's where I have my parlay placed. We're going to go 4-0 this week. Speaking of 4-0, that brings us to the second leg of our parlay. Breece Hall over 20.5 receiving yards. He has 5+ catches and 50+ receiving yards in back-to-back games. Most importantly, those came in back-to-back games where the Jets won. The Jets are winning when they give Breece Hall the ball. I know it's a crazy concept, but that's what's happening right now for the Jets. That's what they need to do. Hell yeah. Breece Hall, LFGGG. GG. That's what Breece Hall is going to say at the end of the day to Derwin James. GG's, brother. I had 6 catches for 89 yards. That's what he's going to say. This is free. It's so free. It's freer than Walmart Wi-Fi. It's freer than McDonald's Wi-Fi. It's freer than a public restroom. This pick is so free. It is so free. Also, the Chargers defense has allowed 40 or more receiving yards to running backs per game. They allow 40 receiving yards to running backs per game. Who else is going to catch the ball in New York? Dalvin Cook? Michael Carter? I almost call him Michael Carter Williams. Had a lot of triple doubles his rookie year for the Sixers. That's neither here nor there. Breece Hall, over 20.5 receiving yards. Book it. Book it. And speaking of book, that was a terrible transition. Zach Wilson, under 13.5 rushing yards. Now, stay with me on this one. Over the past couple games, here are his rushing totals over the past, 6 games. 25, 15, 26, 14, 1, and 36. Now, logic would say, let's hit Zach Wilson over 13.5. Like I said, he's got 25, 15, 26, 14, 1, and 36. He only didn't hit that total in one of those games. So logic would say, Tyler, why are you not hitting Zach Wilson over rushing yards? Well, I'll tell you why. Because the books are smarter than we are. The books are smarter than me. They want you to hit the over. They know what they're doing. They know that you're going to go back and look at what the stats I just gave you. You're going to look at the game log and you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so free. He had 25 yards the last game, 15 the week before that, 26 the week before that, 14 the week before that. This is free money. The books know that. They're trying to play with your head. You know what the stats you didn't look up was? The Chargers allowed the 4th least rushing yards to quarterbacks this season. The sports books know what they're doing. They're trying to take your money. They're trying to play you for a fool. Under Zach Wilson, 13.5 rushing yards. We will not be made fools on this live stream. Not on this program. We will not be made fools. I will not let it happen. It will not happen to us. So Zach Wilson under 13.5 rushing yards. And the last pick, I think this is the first time I've gotten 2 unders on the live stream. I don't like betting unders. So, but we're going to do it again because this one's free. It's free. Donald Parham under 16.5 receiving yards. Everett is back. Gerald Everett is back. And in the games that Gerald Everett and Donald Parham have played together, Parham has only hit 17 receiving yards twice, and I think 5 or 6 games. And he only has one game, I repeat, one game with more than 2 catches when him and Everett have played together. Those are like, could it happen? Yes. Any of these picks could hit, but I like the process on our end. I like if he gets 16.5 receiving yards on 1 catch, that's tough. On 2 catches, like, that sucks, but it's not going to happen because we're going to go 4-0 tonight on this parlay. I'm going to come in. I'm going to go to the bank an hour before the live stream next week, and I'm going to make it rain on this live stream. I'm going to get all hundreds. I'm going to cash out my entire savings. I don't know if my bank will let me do that. Doesn't matter. I'm going to cash it all out just to flex on the people who weren't in this live stream, who are missing out on free money. And I don't think I said the record on this live stream. Probably should have started with that. The record right now is 11-8-2. That's pretty good. It's not where I want it to be. I want it to be, what's the math on that? 21-0-0. But we can't all have nice things. 11-8-2 is a solid record. If you put $100 on every pick that I've given out this year, you would have made $300. I'd say that's pretty good. That's a pretty good return on investment for free picks. So I end with that. Monday Night Football, it's going to be glorious. Just in case you missed it, Quentin Johnston over 32.5 rushing and receiving yards. Breece Hall over 20.5 receiving yards. Zach Wilson under 13.5 rushing yards. Donald Parham under 16.5 receiving yards. And if you don't like any of if there's a pick you really don't like, you can't get behind it, then hit the Justin Herbert free square over half a total yard. 1 passing, 1 rushing, 1 kick return, punt return. Does not matter. Does not matter. It's a free square. I leave you with that. I hope everyone has a great night. It's going to be a great game today. And as Seth Dewald would say, nobody cares about Aaron Rodgers.
Hey, I want to take a moment to thank you for tuning in. It's important to me that all of our media be free. This is only possible because of you allowing a true independent sports media enterprise to thrive unlike any other in the business. So please subscribe to the All In Package to continue to make all of this possible, to ensure that all of our stats, information, data, content is available to you, especially you, the people that get the site and get the show.